Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice Radio. So today, well, it happened again, ladies and gentlemen. It happened again. You see, earlier today, I showed you a lovely new video centered around those 100 start decks over in Japan. Those 100 individual decks that you, well, they're kind of like booster packs, right? But instead of getting a booster pack, you get a complete deck, and there are 100 different ones. And I showed you a new Morpeko, and told you we didn't have perfect information, but we knew a bunch, we had a chat. It was lovely, it was lots of fun. And I told you that there was a new Raikou, and I told you that we didn't have a good look at this. And incidentally, when I recorded a video, that was true. I also told you that I would be absolutely stunned if we did not get a Drampa V, though at the time of recording Drampa V had not yet been revealed. Well, since I recorded that video, essentially to peek behind the curtain a little bit, I recorded that video and then went to record a very exciting video with the lovely Antoine Boulet. You can see that video tomorrow. And then that video posted. And then I checked to see if there was any update to the news, and it turned out that while I had been away for really not that much time at all, we had gotten a look at Raikou V, which actually showed us what it does, and we'd gotten a nice clear look at Drampa V. And not for nothing, but we have actually got a look at a new supporter card as well, that for certain kind of players, not me, but for certain kinds of players, is going to be a very, very exciting card indeed. But we need to start off with Raikou V, because Raikou V is legit. Now, I showed you this earlier, and essentially, the funny thing was, right, when I made the video, I put it side by side with Suicune V, because we'd seen Suicune V and they are legendary beasts. I do see this discussion happening quite a lot online. Are they legendary cats? Are they legendary dogs? Officially, canonically, they are legendary beasts. And I did mention how we'd never had an Entei, and that was a little bit sad. Well, it turns out, if you go back and watch that video now, it's all a little bit weird, because this is Suicune V. Like, it is just a lightning-type Suicune V. Incidentally, the fact that it is a lightning-type Suicune V is absolutely huge. We'll get there in a moment. Now, you will notice that it does actually have 10 less HP, and obviously a weakness to fighting, and the attack cost is 1 lightning rather than 1 water, along with 1 colourless. But I've shown this to the lovely Antoine Boulet, who has confirmed that it is, in fact, the same ability and the same attack. Now, I don't know this for a fact. Ooh, I should mention, shout out to the lovely Talonite X for showing us this picture. That was incredibly helpful. I'm very grateful. And essentially, I don't think I'm the only one that's pointed this out. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe we might be seeing a lower retreat cost. Put simply, there's no real reason to give us essentially the same card as a different typing with lower HP. I don't really get that, so I'm willing to bet that we are just essentially going to see just the same kind of card, but if we've got lower HP, it seems like it might have lower retreat cost. But that's really burying the lead here, because Suicune is legit. Suicune is a genuinely good, brilliant card right now in the game as it stands. The ability says that if you're active, you can draw a card once per turn, and for 2 energy, the attack does 20 damage for each bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. And obviously here, if you've both got a full bench, that's 220 damage. That is, in fact, the perfect amount of damage to get a one-hit KO on pretty much any Pokemon V. And look, that's not particularly, that's not exactly guaranteed. It's not going to happen all that often, but I think it's fair to say that that is going to happen sometimes, and when it does happen, yeah, that's pretty good. And the fact of the matter is, there is a Twitter account that most of you should be following right now. It is PokeStats. And the reason you should be following PokeStats is because they are really, really good at posting results of online tournaments. And if you go and look at the results of those online tournaments, you will notice that actually there's Suicune Ludicolo everywhere. Like, to take a random one, the Late Night Series 16 happened about a week or so ago, and you'll notice 3rd place Hampton Morton 8-2 with Suicune Ludicolo. 8th place James Sims 7-2-1 Suicune Ludicolo. 12th place Matthew Wright 7-1-2 Suicune Ludicolo. Suicune Ludicolo is a legit top tier deck right now, and Suicune C's play in other decks as well. And now we're getting a Raikou, which is basically the exact same card, but as a lightning type. Now, couple of things before we get too much further. Firstly, I should remind you what Ludicolo does. Ludicolo is a very, very interesting card. The turn you evolve it, your basic Pokemon do an extra 100 damage this turn. So what you really need is a low energy, decent hitting attacker that doesn't hit quite as much as you'd like. For instance, a 2 energy basic Pokemon that won't always hit quite as much as you want, and then in comes Ludicolo, and then does as much as you want, and oh look, now you are. Essentially, when you evolve Ludicolo, you're doing, if you've got a full bench 220, if your opponent's got a full bench 320, Ludicolo Suicune is a legit top tier deck, and there is no real question one way or the other, it is a top tier deck. And Suicune C's play in other places as well. Incidentally, if you want to play this as a draw engine for the ability, having lower retreat would be better. As I said, we'll have to wait and see whether that's true or not. Now, the other thing that's very important to note here, we don't have energy acceleration for Lightning now like we used to. We used to have really good acceleration. We don't. If we could still be using stuff like Tapu Koko, that would be amazing, but we can't, because that rotated out. And, at the moment, when we look at water decks, you've got Melanie, which is great for acceleration. Honestly, that's all you really need, but we've also got Frostlass and Frostmoth if you want a little bit more. Water is really easy to get that second energy on. It's only 1 extra energy, there's plenty of stuff you can use like Turbo Patch, etc., but it is important to note that you will need to get that second energy on. And the thing is, firstly, hitting a really good weakness against stuff like Inteleon, which is lovely. And secondly, it's a nice different typing, different weakness, etc. No, the energy is not as easy to accelerate a Suicune, and that is a bit of a problem. Outside of that, this is a legit great card. In Japan, now I don't know if it's going to be in one of the 100 start decks or many, but this is the only place it's going to be. That is a little bit upsetting. Fair to assume that over here it's going to be in Brilliant Stars, because we've already seen confirmation that some of the cards that are new from the 100 start decks will be. It is fair to assume that it's going to be in Brilliant Stars. It is a great card. Suicune is a great card. Raikou is a great card. Probably hits a better weakness, arguably has a worse weakness. The biggest issue is that second energy, but especially if we ever get a good way to accelerate energy, it's going to be amazing. And yes, obviously in any deck that ever plays Flaffy, this is a phenomenal 2 energy attacker, and Flaffy will get that energy. I'm a little bit nervous to mention Flaffy, because I told you I'm following PokeStats and watching all of these results as they go, and I'll be honest with you, you don't see Flaffy decks popping up very often on their winning lists. Flaffy is not making the impact I was hoping it might. But make no mistake, this is an important card. Maybe less important, but absolutely brand new, we've got ourselves a new Drampa. Translation here from the lovely Primal Lugia, though confirmed by the lovely Antoine Boulet. Now, 210 HP is standard, weakness to fighting is not ideal. We got some good fighting stuff around. Single energy, 20 damage, draw 2 cards. I like drawing 2 cards. I don't like doing it on a 2-prize Pokemon. I think this is a good attack. It's the kind of attack we've seen CE play in the past. But 20 damage is not that much better than nothing. And you are running into a real issue here of it's a 2-prize Pokemon. Do you want to give up 2 prizes? If you're going to be a 2-prize setup Pokemon, you've got to be really good. I am not sure Drampa fits the bill. But we also do have free Colourless Energy, 160, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Oh. Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame. If it was the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, Colourless Energy, taking advantage of any energy acceleration as you go, I could get behind this. I could see good reasons to want to play this. That is not what we see here. What we actually see here is nothing particularly good. And this makes me genuinely a little bit sad. We knew Drampa was coming. I told you Drampa was coming. It was in that collage, montage, call it what you will, of Pokemon art they've been using to promote the 100 start decks. But I really hoped it was better than this, and I'm sure a bunch of you hoped it was better than this as well. It's just uninspiring. Nothing's good enough. Like, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. No, I want to build my opponent, not myself. And even then, 180 damage is what you need to get a Crobat. And it's what you need to get a Kricketune. But you're not hitting 180 damage, you're hitting 160 damage, and sure, powerful Colourless Energy is a thing, and powerful Colourless Energy can be used to do that extra 20 damage, and I don't even really care. It's too much. Yes, it's Colourless Energy, yes, it can draw you cards, yes, it can do decent damage, but there is nothing about this card that is good. When I was chatting to the lovely Antoine Boulet, they made the same point that I did. This seems like the kind of card that would really be there for a VMAX, because it's uninspiring, but you're waiting to evolve it. And I do think it's worth looking into that, because this is not getting a VMAX. We know that Brilliant Stars has exactly 3 VMAXs. We know that it's got Kingler from the 100 start decks. We know that it's got Mimikyu from VMAX Climax. And we know that it's got Aggron. We've not seen Aggron yet, but come on, at this stage, it's all but guaranteed it's going to be in the 100 start decks. I'd be stunned if it wasn't. So my point is, you're not getting a VMAX here. Because if we were getting a VMAX, it would be in Brilliant Stars, but we know it's not in Brilliant Stars. So what's the point of this card again? And the answer is, I'm not sure there is one. And when you see how good Raikou is, and how disappointing Drampa is, that's honestly a little bit sad. Speaking of things that are a little bit sad, Team Yell's Cheer. A new supporter card that lets you shuffle up to 3 in any combination of supporter cards outside of Team Yell's Cheer, and Pokemon cards from your discard pile into your deck. And this one's nice and easy. Are you a control player? Are you the kind of player that wants to continually reuse supporter cards that are going to frustrate and annoy your opponent? If the answer is yes, you're going to love this card. If the answer is no, you're not. If you just want to reuse the odd supporter here and there, Palpad will do you just fine. Palpad will work. Now, it's interesting to note Palpad, as it stands, has a regulation mark of D. That means it will be rotating out in August, September of 2022, at which point this might become a way better card. But as it stands at the moment, we've still got Palpad. It's not that big a deal. However, this will get you up to 3 supporters. That's 1 more than Palpad. And it itself can be recovered with Palpad. You cannot recover Team Yell's Cheer with Team Yell's Cheer, but you absolutely can recover it with Palpad, and all of a sudden, things start looking very, very interesting indeed. So yeah, it's not a card for me, but if you like playing these control-style decks, this is a little bit of a no-brainer. You are going to want this card, because it gets you recovering all of those annoying supporters. Whether we have them at the moment or not, it's honestly kind of irrelevant. This one looks really, really good for control players. So no, we don't like Drampa. Drampa's kind of rubbish. But that Raikou looks good. And Team Yell's Cheer, although I don't like it personally, I can understand a whole bunch of people would. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know which of these cards you like. I want to know how excited you are. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/TheWasi. patreon.com/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that fun stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.